Welcome to Old Fashioned Finance, the podcast that mixes cocktails and high finance. I'm your host, Caleb Frankert, and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow money muddler, Jason Burnell.
Caleb, can a podcast about finance be entertaining?
Not without alcohol.
All right, let's mix it up. Yeah.
Hey, this should be a fun one.
Oh, we need a fun one after
estate planning for 2 weeks.
Let's talk about dying.
Womp womp. You know what? I feel bad that we did it, but I don't also. Because it was really good information, I think, and people need to hear it.
I've had conversations about those topics since then.
Yeah.
And there are some that are like, whoa, I didn't think about that.
Well, I'd put it this way. I don't think that people listened to it and didn't like it. I think people saw estate planning. Let's not listen.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
So this one might be a little more clickbaity.
Yeah, for sure.
Today on Old Fashioned Finance, how to win the lottery.
Let's get drunk. Let's drink and have a conversation about the lottery.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the title, How to Win the Lottery. This is not how to go about employing a system that will allow you to win the lottery. This is
that's true.
When you win the lottery, how you should win the lottery. All right. So we got a new drink here that I've never heard of that I thought would be really fun to try out today.
Everything looks good, though.
It's I think so. Today we're going to be drinking.
Like we kind of like doing the Taco Bell recipe for drinks sometimes, where it's like, yeah, we like that. Beans, cheese, tortillas.
So same ingredients, and then we just mix up the ratio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is a little different.
Mint Sprague.
It's basic. It's pretty basic, but anyway, it's the Kentucky Flyer.
Woo!
And let's just dive right in. Today we're drinking Kentucky Flyers, made with 2 ounces of rye whiskey.
Woo!
Did I pronounce the H hard enough?
Yeah.
3/4 of an ounce of maraschino liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most common that you're going to find out there is Luxardo. 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and as always, fresh squeezed lemon juice, right? And then we're going to garnish that with a mint sprig and a Luxardo cherry. And that's it. I just built this in a rocks glass. I threw a few cubes of ice in and started adding the ingredients, gave it a little stir. And admittedly, my mint plant is not doing awesome lately. So our mint sprigs are a little bit anemic. But you still get the smell.
Just a garnish.
All right, Jason. So let's bottoms up, pal. Let's see what we think of this bad boy.
Everything I thought it would be. I don't like lemon in drinks, but it's good.
It's for 1/2 ounce. It's overpowering. I taste it more than I taste the maraschino liqueur, which is a bigger part of the drink.
No, but it's still good.
I like it.
I like this one. It reminds me of a hot toddy.
You know what? That's a good point. This is a cold toddy. You know what? The reason you might like this is the rye that we used in here. We used Rare Breed, which is a barrel proof rye.
It's good.
It's just
it really reminds me of a hot toddy.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think it's the rye and the lemon.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Some people put mint in their hot toddies, so it could be that.
We do. Like a peppermint. Yeah, like a liquid. I don't know. What do you call that? Like a spice you get. Almost like
an oil, like
bitters.
A peppermint oil or something. Yeah. No,
that's really good.
Bad.
That's actually a really good kind of cold winter drink.
I'm not going to lie. I picked this one on purpose because I thought, I'm going to like this, I think. And I thought you might not like it. Not saying I want to pick drinks that you don't like, but we don't have a lot of controversy on the drinks.
We don't.
We usually
you said that. That's right. You said that it was going to be controversial.
I really thought you were going to hate this.
No, I like it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Good.
To disappoint.
I like it. So I'm glad you agree with me. Obviously, your palate is getting more refined.
Yeah, but this is an easy mixer. I think this is a winter drink. That's weird with the lemon in there.
Okay. I could definitely see drinking this on the porch in the summertime.
Yeah, we could see you drinking most drinks. All right,
there's the controversy. I thought your palate was becoming more refined. Speaking of getting more refined,
yes,
Jason.
Yep.
Do you get more refined whenever you win the lottery? Survey says we'll see.
Probably not.
So, all right. I found an interesting article in light of the recent Powerball lottery, a record-setting lottery here in the United States that was just drawn on, Tuesday, a couple days ago. I thought it would be really fun to do this episode because of all of that. It's really funny. I don't play the lottery. Do you?
No.
Okay, so whenever you, my wife and I went to the bookstore down the road last Friday.
Yep.
And the cashier said something like, "Are you going to get your Powerball ticket?" And I'm like,
Huh?
No. She goes, "It's up to $2 billion." And I went, "Whoa, what?
Billion?"
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now for $500 million, I'm not going to waste my $2, but $2 billion? I think I better go buy one.
Wouldn't that just be absurd?
But it is funny, right?
Yep.
Because whenever it resets, I think it goes down to, it's like 40 mil. I don't know. I don't even know how much.
I don't either. I don't have the slightest
But
clue.
it's really funny when you think about it. Your chances of winning the big one with more people playing is less.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know, man. We crossed $1 billion, and I think I'm going to play because now it's worth my time to win the lottery.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
And my
All
$2.
of a sudden.
So, I thought it would be fun to kind of get into that a little bit today and really just, you know what? Darn it. It's okay to just have a fun episode, isn't it?
Definitely.
All right. So
There was definitely a buzz
Yeah,
about.
We'll mix
Right.
a little bit of financial planning and some common sense in, but this is just a fun one, okay? So
Right.
if you normally listen to the Old Fashioned Finance podcast and you're taking notes and you apply this to your daily life, just relax and enjoy this one.
Yes. Get your drink.
I mean,
sit
if you're
back.
doing that, you probably
I know.
probably need to find something else to do. But anyway, all right.
We're
So let's get
sorry. That's what we're saying.
I want to give credit where credit's due.
That's right.
Because I wanted to find statistics on lotteries, lottery winners, all that.
Of course we
And,
did. We're nerds.
You know, I found this. I don't know how you even it's pronounced. It's not social. There's 2 O's in it. Social.com?
but I think it is supposed to be social.
Is it? Are you
Yeah.
familiar with this site?
I mean, not really.
Okay. I'm still
Whatever.
learning how
The
to use
internet.
the internet.
That craze will die
One day
someday.
I'll learn the computer. But they have a pretty interesting article here called 25 Lottery Winner Statistics to Make You Buy a Ticket ASAP.
Woo!
All right.
Wow.
So
Seems like a hard sell.
look, even though someone won the Powerball, there's still money to be had in the lottery. So
That's
go buy a
right.
ticket. Just
Right.
kidding.
Didn't the winner come from like California? I think that's where they said that.
Yes. So hold on to that little tidbit of
Yes.
information because
Yes.
it's one of the statistics that I want to talk
That's
about.
interesting.
So Jason, let's do this kind
right.
of rapid fire style. I'm gonna throw out some things and you give me a reaction. Let's start kind of with like just lottery statistics.
Okay.
All right. So jumping right into this, the average gambler in the U.S. spends around. So remember the average gambler in the U.S., not the
Okay.
average person, but the average gambler. So if
It's a
you're
profile,
playing the lottery,
apparently. Yeah.
yeah, if you're playing the lottery, on average, you spend about $261 on lottery tickets every year.
Yearly.
Yearly.
That seems low to me.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to
it
ask
does.
you, are you buying that or
people are,
selling
like,
it?
I mean, scratch off tickets are $20 a piece in some cases.
Well, they can be, but also the ones
There's
that
a
I
lot of
get for
dollar
Christmas are $1.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, those are the only ones I ever win on, and I might win like $3.
You get another ticket.
I usually just tell my niece, "Here you go, take these down to the gas station," because she's of age now. And
Oh.
double down.
Yes.
Basically,
She
I'm
just
trying to
buys
make
cigarettes.
that ticket go to zero. Yeah, you're right. Cigarettes. What? I mean,
I'm going to make this money
at
into
the end of the
something
day,
really
we're supporting our school with both. So,
good. Okay.
all right. So I mentioned that the average gambler spends about $261 a year on
Okay.
tickets. What percentage of Americans do you think are gamblers or lottery players, Jason?
I'm going to say like 45%.
Okay, it's 57%.
Okay.
57%.
All right.
So obviously a little higher than what you thought. A little higher
Yeah.
than what I thought too.
Yeah, that's a big number. I mean, again, when we get into some of these other odds.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about California,
Mhm.
where the big winner came from. Something state specific. Did I almost say Pacific?
Pacific.
No, this
State Pacific.
This state does not touch the Pacific. Florida had the highest lottery ticket sales in 2021.
Do you think it's just because of the retirees that are down there? I mean, that's like
All right, so
I feel like it's a hobby to play the
feel-
lottery, don't you?
feel like you're setting me up here because
am.
I want to say it's the demographic of Florida as a whole.
I think it is.
Yeah, there's retirees.
There's haves and have-nots there, though. That's pretty much
That's
what
what
it
I
is.
mean. I
Yeah.
mean, you might have. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that because we probably have faithful listeners in Florida.
Sure.
I guess what I was gonna say is you have a lot of retirees and people who can afford to live the high life down in Florida.
Right.
And then you have like
The people serving those people, right?
crocodile people, you know? I
Crocodile Dundee just popped in my head.
All right, I'm going to stop bad-mouthing Florida because
we have a better one to badmouth.
we do.
I think.
Probably.
Where's the other winners come from, right? Oh, no, that's the next stat.
Well,
Sorry,
actually, so yeah, that was lottery sales, lottery ticket sales.
Right. I was thinking of
New York is number 2.
Okay. Well,
and really, right? I mean, there's a little bit of a separation between Florida and New York, but the margin between New York and the next state, which is California, is razor thin. So California creeping up on New York for
I would
for
think
number
that
2.
population just has something to do with that. Next to demographics,
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. All right, so this is another fun one. The odds of winning the Mega Millions are 1 in 302.5 million.
that seems legit.
That's about how many people we have in the U.S., right? So 1 in... I mean, that statistic totally makes sense. However, the odds of winning the Powerball are slightly better at 1 in 292 million, Jason.
Wow.
So
I have some numbers on that later.
you do?
Yes.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I did some
What's the
prep
next
work
one?
5 seconds before we
Well,
started
look at
recording.
All right, here's what we're thinking. So California and another state are the two most frequent.
Winners?
Yeah, you know the thing.
Winnie people?
So California totally makes sense.
Yep.
Especially because population. They're up there in ticket sales. But Jason, what do you think the other state is as far as frequency
You're
of
making
lottery
me think
winners?
it's like Tennessee.
It's
something.
somewhere you have to drive to get to places.
Oh. Ohio? Indiana? Michigan?
Indiana, the crossroads of America.
Yeah.
I've always loved that slogan.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like saying Indiana, you got to drive through us to get somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We are alienating people all over the country today.
No, I feel like that's Kansas or Nebraska.
Iowa's pretty rough.
They're all.
Iowa's pretty sometimes.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's
Kansas
from Iowa.
is real bad.
I have a friend who's from Iowa, and it's really fun to tease him about how flat it is. He gets really upset because he's like, Iowa's not flat. There's rolling hills everywhere.
Right,
and I'm like,
right.
yeah, okay.
Okay, that's what you would say if you're from Iowa.
All right, so let's see. We've insulted Florida, Indiana, California, and sort of Iowa. So, well, you kind of touched on Kansas, too.
I did.
All right. Guess what? If you had to guess, what are the 2 most commonly drawn numbers in the lottery?
I don't even know what the highest number is.
I think it goes 1 to 100. Well, 1 to
99.
I don't know if single zero is 1. I would guess 1 to 99.
I was thinking like 17 and like 27.
17 is one of them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 17 and 31.
Oh, I was close.
So
I don't know what that means.
You know what's funny?
Maybe I should play the lottery. I don't.
So I have I've been in line at a gas station behind someone who's playing the lottery and picking their own numbers.
Right. They stand there and do it.
You can stand there and pick your own numbers, and they'll print it on the ticket. My thought is, I'm not real lucky. Well, why don't I just let the thing draw?
You were
for
like
me?
the luckiest guy I know. Don't even give me
my
that
luck
bull
has
crap.
my luck has changed. When it comes to
bourbon lottery, won twice. Okay, whatever.
Well, that's all I'll ever win. Anyway,
that's all I ever win.
Let's
That's like
see.
the most important lottery to win.
So
30 looked up odds for that.
31. Yeah, it's about 1 in 302 million, Jason.
You just picked the wrong lottery to play.
The number 31 is the most commonly picked at 243 times since 1996, and then 17 right behind it at 238 times. The number 10, which actually would be one of my lucky numbers, is the third highest. Yeah, so I guess if you are going to sit there and you're going to build your ticket and pick your numbers, probably shouldn't leave 31 and 17 out.
See,
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
The statistics cannot lie.
Kind of reminds me of that Vegas Vacation movie with Chevy. You know the National Lampoon's movie at the end where they go to play Keno and they're picking their numbers. And that's Dad's football number, and that's Mom and Dad's anniversary.
Yeah,
and
I think that's more common.
Yeah,
for picking numbers.
Don't miss 31 and 17. Okay. All right. So we talked a little bit about the stats for the lottery itself. Let's talk about what I think is more interesting, which is stats on lottery winners, Jason. Okay. So this is where we get into the how to win the lottery.
Yes.
Not how to win the lottery, how to win the lottery.
Yeah. This is when you're doing it right.
All right. So 44% of all lotto winners spend their money within 5 years, Jason. That's according to Forbes.
That's absurd.
What do you think about that?
I think would take a lot of work.
Are you buying or selling that? It does seem like it would be a lot of work,
no,
right?
I'm buying it. No,
like, how could you
because
spend that much money?
Easy. I bought 150 luxury cars.
Well, okay, so let's put this in perspective. How could you spend that much money? How much money, you ask? On average, lottery winners' gross winnings are between 200 and 700 million. That's gross.
That's insane.
So, you know, at the end of the day, it's let's see here, after taxes. I think the average comes in around 300 million after taxes.
Okay, so I think here I'm like,
sorry, not the average. That's on the high end. 110 to 385 million is the average net lottery winning.
Doesn't matter. I feel like.
Do you think $385 million would be harder, as hard, or I mean, is it any harder to spend 385 than it is 110 million?
Probably not, because if you've got
you can
these
spend 110, I think you
fairy
could
tales
spend,
in your head of what to spend it on. But what I'm thinking is like those stats right there by themselves say that people that get giant windfalls like this cannot be trusted with their money.
Absolutely.
It's like,
well, you know, we see it with inheritances, don't we?
All the time.
I mean, people get inheritances and it's like they won the lottery and it's gone.
Well, and then they go further. It's like I got a $20,000 inheritance and I maxed out 7 credit cards on top of it.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting, right? Because it creates a behavior for a lot of folks.
Sure does, and it's hard to stop.
Okay, so let's remember our place there.
Okay.
Now, you did a little bit of research on what people spend their money on. So how do you spend, on average, let's call it $200 million net of taxes in 5 years' time?
Okay, so probably one of the most common is a fleet, I say, of luxury supercars.
Okay.
It is surprising how quick, in our perception of cars in the United States anyway, as a symbol of your success. Okay. But it's also not surprising to me that the very next thing is illegal narcotics.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I'm going to say prostitution's probably in there too. Okay. Because they kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay. So that's probably not a something that a habit you develop after winning the lottery. That's probably something that
I don't know. I mean, it seems to be like the people that are interested in partying hard and fast, supercars and drugs are almost connected, and they're both expensive.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, some
how
of these
can you
people
afford your rock and roll lifestyle?
By winning the lottery for 20 months, because that's what it's going to take me to spend through this money. But I would say cars are really, really high on the list.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why you and I are like saying, like, how could we possibly dream up ways to spend this? When you spend $150,000 a month with your drug dealer, you can go through it pretty quick.
Sure.
And that's wild, huge parties. You know, think about it.
You know, it's interesting because you found a list that goes a completely different direction from the list that I found. Okay.
Yep.
So things that people don't spend their lottery money on average is, 62% of lottery winners don't even move. They stay in their home. So they're not buying big fancy houses for the most part.
Which is none of these examples said they bought a big house.
Yeah.
So it tells me like they went to like New York on a private jet, rented the Plaza Hotel, did it Kevin McAllister style.
Oh yeah.
You
spent $9,000 on room service. Was it 9,000 or was it 900?
Except their ice cream was cocaine.
So the other thing that I found that people spent their money on, Jason, which maybe you have that in there, 83% of winners give money to their family. Now,
yes.
There's not a percentage of how much they gave, but they're helping family, which, family comes out of the woodwork and probably, oh, hey,
remember me?
Look,
remember
something
when you
that
did
we've
that
never
terrible
talked
thing
about
in high
before.
school called blackmail.
Something we never talked about. I have $500,000 in credit card debt. Could you help me out? I mean, you did just win $200 million, right?
Right. I mean, you'll never even notice.
Right. You'll never notice. So yeah, that was interesting. Anything else that you have that people spend?
Lots of suspect investing. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Lots. I mean, I think like business ventures, restaurants, things that make people give the perception of success, right? That's like check mark number one for these folks that just like blasted through. Some of the ones that like kind of surprised me they gambled to win the lottery. You win $100 freaking million, right? You gamble some
you go back. You go back, right?
It's like, what?
It's like when you beat the house at its own game. Well, the house knows, casinos know that you're going to turn around and you're going to spend that money right there. That's why they put you up in a nice hotel.
That's right.
Yeah, so it is. I did see, I got a stat here that, let's see, was it 90?
Well, and then I feel like those casinos, things like that, they know who you are, one, and then they play on this like rock and roll lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And so they make it even easier, and man, that's how they make so much money. I mean, it's just that simple. Oh, another one. Oh, you go first.
No, you. I was just mocking you.
Okay, another one. Another one that is really common, ways that people just blew it. Mistresses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it all goes together.
Another family, right?
Right.
I mean,
exactly. So I just have a totally another family in another area, and that's how blackmail happens. So
yeah.
Anyways, all right.
But it's interesting that you did say mistress, because here's another one as far as how the lottery affects someone after they win. Did you know this was a shocker to me?
Okay.
And I'm going to stack this on top of another stat here, which is 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt. 70%.
70%. This is a curse.
What is the number one cause for divorce in America?
Money fights and money
fights,
problems.
right?
Yep.
But 95% of lotto winners stay with their spouse.
What?
I would have thought that was a much lower number, Jason.
That was a good 2 years, Gunny.
Yeah.
Guess we're stuck with each other.
So the mistress is getting the money as well.
Oh, maybe it's like
the mister.
So, all right. The stats that I came up with, I think, are really interesting. Okay.
Oh, by the way, that number I was looking for, it wasn't in the 90s. 68% of lotto winners continue to buy tickets. So it's a little more than 2/3.
Wow.
That can't wait to give it back.
All right. So the stats I came up with are, I always like to say, so the odds of winning the lottery are 1 in 300 plus million.
Yeah.
Right. So I like to look at what are the stats for other things occurring. Okay. You are more likely to get hit and crushed and killed by a meteorite.
Ooh. Hey, there was a really interesting video. A guy in California, I think. So they showed somebody driving down the road, and I swear.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
I did.
I mean, it landed on this guy's roof and burned up. His house looked awful.
1 in 1.6 million. It's a lot lower than I expected.
You're saying that guy had a way higher chance of dying from that meteorite hitting his house than winning the Powerball.
Okay, next one that I like. You have a higher chance of just becoming a billionaire.
Oh, by working.
By working.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay, so I was like, this is really, really funny. I mean, you have the odds of you becoming Warren Buffett are higher.
Yeah. I can't help but throw this in.
Okay.
It reminds me of Caddyshack, the guy at the bar that's been struck by lightning.
Oh, yeah.
I've been struck 66 times.
Hold on, I got to find that. You definitely have a higher chance of being killed by a shark, becoming an astronaut in training, scoring a hole-in-one, going to the ER with a pogo stick in places that we can't talk about. Hold on, these are funny. Becoming a movie star, becoming the president.
Well.
Okay, and odds of you getting audited are also higher, for the record.
Of course.
I was like,
of course.
Yeah, he's going to be like, well, duh, like 1% of the population.
Tell you who I'd be after.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I have another fun one. I guess the last one I'll share. Well, no, I take it back. I've got a couple more to share, but you always think about, you talk to people and they say, if I won the lottery, I'd this, I'd that.
Exactly.
Almost everybody says that they would keep working.
I'm going to quit my job.
No, most people say 2/3 of people polled, if you won the lottery, would you quit your job? No, I'd keep working. You want to know something? Only 48% actually do keep working.
What a liar.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I love what I do every day, but I'm pretty sure my perspectives on the world would change a little bit. So I'm not bold enough to say that if I had $300 million plopped in my lap, that my life wouldn't change.
No, I'd be same old Joe Schmo.
Sure you would.
with a giant bourbon collection.
I was just going to say.
Hey, Jason, so far we've talked about how not to win the lottery. Let's pretend that we're a finance podcast and we're financial advisors for the last couple minutes here.
Okay.
How should you win the lottery? If you win the lottery, let's talk about some practical things that you should do to not end up like the 70% who are bankrupt, out of money in 5 years.
Okay, so number one, you've never had this much money in your life.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have the slightest clue on exactly the complications that it's going to involve.
Yes.
You better build a team quick that you can trust, that's on your side, that you know has your back. Because, like we said earlier, the woodwork will start creaking pretty fast and people will start coming out of it.
You know, I had a client a couple of years ago who... I won't go into detail on his situation, but something he said always resonated with me. And he'd walk in, and this became our thing. Hey, client, how's it going? Well, Caleb, having money as hell.
Yeah.
Right? And like you said, people are going to come out of the woodwork. And by the way, you talked about audits, all these other things that you go, man, I wasn't thinking about this whenever I bought that lottery ticket.
Yep.
One of the things I could recommend would be, and 85% of people, this is another stat, choose to go anonymous. A blind trust is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
You have time to claim your winnings.
Yep. I have a tendency to think that separating a portion of the principal and not having access to it to know that my lifestyle would be okay.
Are you talking about an annuity?
No, I'm thinking like an irrevocable trust or something like that, where I don't know if I can be trusted with this because I've never had it before.
Most people can't.
Right. So stats say this is going to ruin my life.
Survey says you're broke.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a real good 2 years and have to go back, to doing whatever I did before. And I think that's really decent advice. And before it's announced or anybody knows, you have to think like, who are we going to help?
Yeah.
Who was there for me or us when times were rough? I think it's important because, again, everyone's going to come out of the woodwork and say, oh, what's $1 million to someone that won 300?
Yeah. And you know what? We could go down some of the legal, we can't give legal advice, but we could go down some of those things as far as trust and all that. But you know what? We would be silly if we didn't reference back some of the episodes that we've already done. Mm-hmm. There was 7 things to do with a windfall.
Yeah.
That would be one to check out.
Yep.
So if you're listening to this, when you win the lottery, go to that episode.
Right.
Another one is the hierarchy of savings, right? So in a nutshell, I'll say if you win, and this, okay, so this is tongue in cheek, right? We're not talking about, winning the Mega Millions. But some people, I know someone who's won the lottery twice, and it was scratch-offs.
Right.
Over $100,000 multiple times. Okay. Mm-hmm. Guess what? They don't have any of it left. So practically speaking, treat this like any windfall, right?
Yeah.
Pay off your debt.
Pay off your debt.
Catch up on bills.
Mm-hmm.
Fund your emergency savings.
Yep.
Right. Fund your retirement accounts. Overfund your retirement accounts. Get on the right track.
Right.
Right. Do this stuff before you get bored and you start buying sports cars.
Yeah, and if you happen to win change your family tree kind of money,
mm-hmm.
think about
that stuff on paper before you spend anything.
Exactly. Talk to more than one professional too.
Yeah. Well, okay, Jason. So again, tongue in cheek, the chances of someone listening to this podcast and winning the Mega Millions is very slim.
But you know what they can do? They can like our podcast. They can give us all the stars and the thumbs ups and all that.
This is true, and that will make them more profitable. I don't know. Anyway, the more people you share this podcast with, the more likely we are to contact or to reach a lottery winner who can use this advice.
Exactly.
In the meantime, I hope you had fun. I had fun with this, Jason.
Oh,
but it's time to close out the tab.
It's past time.
Thanks for having a drink with us this week. It is time to close out the tab. If you have a question or a topic you want addressed on the Old Fashioned Finance Podcast, be sure to email us at podcast@bluejfg.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to share the show with someone you love or just someone who needs a little money muddling themselves. You can stay up to date on the latest action by following us on Facebook. Old Fashioned Finance is brought to you by Blue Jay Financial Group. That's bluejfg.com and produced by Podastery Studios. Good folks, those Podastery boys.
Oh, yeah.
We've been your hosts, Caleb and Jason. Cheers.
Cheers.
Blue Jay Financial Group, LLC. Blue Jay is a registered investment advisor registered with the state of Ohio. Registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The presence of this advertisement on this podcast shall not be directly or indirectly interpreted as a solicitation of investment advisory services to persons of another jurisdiction unless otherwise permitted by statute. Follow-up or individualized responses to a consumer in a particular state by Blue Jay and the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation shall not be made without first complying with jurisdiction requirements or pursuant an applicable state exemption. All verbal and written consent on this presentation is for information purposes only. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Blue Jay unless otherwise specifically cited. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to other parties' informational accuracy or completeness. All information or ideas provided should be discussed in detail with an advisor, accountant, or legal counsel prior to implementation.